Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, translated with commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Adi Lila, Chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. Text 115. One who considers the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu to be made of material nature is the greatest offender at the lotus feet of the Lord. There is no greater blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami explains that the variegated personal feature of the Absolute Truth is the Vishnu Tattva, and the material energy which creates this cosmic manifestation is the energy of Lord Vishnu. The creative force is merely the energy of the Lord, but the foolish conclude that the Lord has no separate existence because he has distributed himself in an impersonal form. The impersonal Brahman, however, cannot possess energies, nor do the Vedic literatures state that Maya, the illusory energy, is covered by another Maya. There are hundreds and thousands of references, however, to Vishnu Maya, Parasya Shakti, or the energy of Lord Vishnu. In Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Krishna refers to Mama Maya, my energy. Maya is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not that he is covered by Maya. Therefore, Lord Vishnu cannot be a product of the material energy. In the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, it is said, Janmad Yasya Yata, indicating that the material energy is also an emanation of the Supreme Brahman. How then could he be covered by the material energy? If that were possible, material energy would be greater than the Supreme Brahman. Even these simple arguments, however, cannot be understood by the Mayavadi philosophers, and therefore the term Mayaya Paritagyana, which is applied to them in Bhagavad Gita, is extremely appropriate. Anyone who thinks that Lord Vishnu is a product of the material energy, as explained by Sadananda Yogendra, should immediately be understood to be insane, for his knowledge has been stolen by the illusory energy. Lord Vishnu cannot be placed within the category of the demigods. Those who are actually bewildered by the Mayavadi philosophy and are still in the darkness of ignorance consider Lord Vishnu to be a demigod, in defiance of the Rig Vedic mantra, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Translation: Vishnu is always in a superior position. End translation. This mantra is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Matak Parataram Nanyat. There is no truth superior to Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Thus, only those whose knowledge has been bewildered consider Lord Vishnu to be a demigod, and therefore suggest that one may either worship Lord Vishnu, the goddess Kali or Durga, or whomever he likes, and achieve the same result. This is an ignorant conclusion that is not accepted in Bhagavad Gita, which distinctly says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Yanti Mad Yajino Pimam. Translation: the worshippers of the demigods will be promoted to the respective planets of the demigods, but devotees of the Supreme Lord will go back home, back to Godhead. End translation. Bhagavad Gita 9:25. Lord Krishna explains very clearly in Bhagavad Gita that his material energy is very difficult to overcome. Daivyesha, Gunamayi, Mama Maya, Duratyaya. Maya's influence is so strong that even learned scholars and spiritualists are also covered by Maya and think themselves to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, however, to free oneself from the influence of Maya, one must surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita. Mamevaye prapadyante, mayamitam tarantite. It is to be concluded, therefore, that Lord Vishnu does not belong to this material creation, but to the spiritual world. To misconceive Lord Vishnu to have a material body, or to equate him with the demigods, is the most offensive blasphemy against Lord Vishnu, and offenders against the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu cannot advance in spiritual knowledge. They are called Mayaya Prita Jnana, or those whose knowledge has been stolen by the influence of illusion. One who thinks that there is a difference between Lord Vishnu's body and his soul dwells in the darkest region of ignorance. There is no difference between Lord Vishnu's body and Vishnu's soul, for they are Advaya, one knowledge. In this world, there is a difference between the material body and the spiritual soul. But in the spiritual world, everything is spiritual, and there are no such differences. The greatest offense of the Mayavad philosophers is to consider Lord Vishnu and the living entities to be one and the same. In this connection, the Padma Purana states, there's a Sanskrit verse here. Translation. One who considers the Archamurti, or worshipable deity of Lord Vishnu, to be stone, the spiritual master to be an ordinary human being, and a Vaishnav to belong to a particular caste or creed, is possessed of hellish intelligence. End translation. One who follows such conclusions is doomed. Text 116. The Lord is like a great blazing fire, and the living entities are like small sparks of that fire. Purport. Although sparks and a big fire are both fire, and both have the power to burn, the burning power of the fire and that of the spark are not the same. Why should one artificially try to become like a big fire, although by constitution he is like a small spark? It is due to ignorance. One should therefore understand that neither the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor the small spark-like living entities have anything to do with matter. But when the spiritual spark comes in contact with the material world, his fiery quality is extinguished. That is the position of the conditioned souls. Because they are in touch with the material world, their spiritual quality is almost dead. But because these spiritual sparks are all Krishna's parts and parcels, as the Lord states in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Vaimsa, they can revive their original position by getting free from material contact. This is pure philosophical understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, the spiritual sparks are declared to be Sanatan, eternal. Therefore, the material energy, Maya, cannot affect their constitutional position. Someone may argue, quote, why is there a need to create these spiritual sparks? End quote. The answer can be given in this way. Since the absolute personality of Godhead is omnipotent, he has both unlimited and limited potencies. This is the meaning of omnipotent. To be omnipotent, he must have not only unlimited potencies, but limited potencies also. Thus, to exhibit his omnipotency, he displays both. The living entities are endowed with limited potency, although they are part of the Lord. The Lord displays the spiritual world by his unlimited potencies, whereas by his limited potencies, the material world is displayed. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Apariyam itastanyam prakritim vidime param jivabhuta mahabaho yayedam dayate jagat. Translation. Besides the inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which is all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. Bhagavad Gita 7.5. The Jivabhuta, living entities, control this material world with their limited potencies. Generally, people are bewildered by the activities of scientists and technologists. Due to Maya, they think that there is no need of God and they can do everything and anything. But actually, they cannot. Since this cosmic manifestation is limited, their existence is also limited. Everything in this material world is limited, and for this reason, there is creation, sustenance, and dissolution. However, in the world of unlimited energy, the spiritual world, there is neither creation nor destruction. If the personality of Godhead did not possess both limited and unlimited energies, he could not be called omnipotent. Mahato Mahayan Anuto Nyan. He is greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. He is smaller than the smallest in the form of the living entities, and greater than the greatest in his form of Krishna. If there were no one to control, there would be no meaning to the conception of the supreme controller, Ishvara, just as there is no meaning to a king without his subjects. If all the subjects became king, there would be no distinction between the king and an ordinary citizen. Thus, for the Lord to be the supreme controller, there must be a creation to control. The basic principle for the existence of the living entities is called Chidvilas, or spiritual pleasure. The omnipotent Lord displays his pleasure potency as the living entities. The Lord is described in Vedanta Sutra as Anandamayo Vyasat. He is by nature the reservoir of all pleasures, and because he wants to enjoy pleasure, there must be energies to give him pleasure or supply him the impetus for pleasure. This is the perfect philosophical understanding of the Absolute Truth. Text 117. The living entities are energies, not the energetic. The energetic is Krishna. This is very vividly described in Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu Purana, and other Vedic literatures. Purport. As already explained, there are 3 prasthanas on the path of advancement in spiritual knowledge, namely, Nyaya Prasthana, Vedanta philosophy, Shruti Prasthana, the Upanishads and Vedic mantras, and Shriti Prasthana, the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Puranas, etc. Unfortunately, Mayavadi philosophers do not accept the Smriti Prasthana. Smriti refers to the conclusions drawn from the Vedic evidence. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers do not accept the authority of Bhagavad Gita and the Puranas, and this is called Arda Kakuti Naya. If one believes in the Vedic literatures, one must accept all the Vedic literatures recognized by the great acharyas. But these Mayavad philosophers accept only Nyaya Prasthana and Shruti Prasthana, rejecting the Smriti Prasthana. Here, however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cites evidence from the Gita, Vishnu Purana, etc., which are Smriti Prasthana. No one can avoid the personality of Godhead in the statements of Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, such as the Mahabharata and the Puranas. Lord Chaitanya therefore quotes a passage from the Bhagavad Gita 7:5.